Can you still dunk like that?
It's a couple dunks I could do. Like on a good day, it got to be, the weather has to be impeccable. My body has to be right, everything. I can attempt a windmill. Now, it'll be 50-50 if I make it, but I will attempt a windmill. But other than that, I can still hit regular dunks. Hey, funny story real quick, right? So when I was coaching with Memphis, of course, we had the young fella, Jalen Duren, right? So we in practice and everything. So I'm like, man, this kid's phenomenal athlete. Let me tell you that. Phenomenal athlete. So we in practice, and so we messing around, right? So it's like, all right. I said, man, what can you do? Show me what can you do. So he's like, well, you do what I do. I said, all right, bet, let's go. So he went, tapped the backboard, dunked it. Boom. I said, okay. I said, I could do that. I tapped the backboard, dunked it. I said, man, you can't do it. He tapped the backboard, dunked it backwards. I tapped the backboard, dunked it backwards. I said, you can't do nothing. I said, what can you do? I said, I'm 47 years old, bro. I said, you 17, 18. I said, show me something different. He said, all right. He said, I bet you can't do this. He threw the ball up, ran up to it, caught the ball with one hand, like, and did a windmill with one hand. Boom. In my head, I was like, damn. Hey, he caught the ball in midair with his hand and hit a windmill. It wasn't like, you see how most guys throw the ball up and then they catch it with one hand and then, come with the dunk. His left hand did not touch the ball at all. And he caught it off the bounce, palmed it with his right hand, looped it around, bang.
But what's the explanation for this, though? I don't think human beings have evolved in the 30-year difference from when you were 18 and when Duren is 18. Why didn't this exist before 2022? Because now that shit just happens every single day, and the kids are like, oh, that was nothing. Like, that was not nothing.
Of course, we had some phenomenal athletes when, number one, when I was watching the NBA coming up, and number two, when I came into the NBA, we had some phenomenal athletes too.
That's true. I mean, we were just talking about Hakeem before we went live. I had Jordan, the obvious ones, Clyde Drexler, the big men, Patrick Ewing. These guys played 82 games every single season for 2 decades. And especially now, that type of durability does not exist yet. In the short spurts, it's almost like they're sprinting now as opposed to running marathons of 20-year careers that they're trying to manage their bodies. And you're just seeing casual suction cup palming windmills that occur by a center that can play positions 1 through 5 and shoot threes. So the shit that they're doing now, man, it's nice to hear that you're able to match them and play a little game of dunk horse with someone that's as versatile and athletic as Duren is. And he's on Detroit now too. We might as well talk about that while you brought him up. And as the Pistons struggle, that's not necessarily a bad thing for Duren because now he's just going to get more and more run. Have you watched any of his games this season? You seen anything that I know Pistons fans are excited about him?
I knew him when he was in high school. With being from Philly and everything, he went to a rival high school, Roman Catholic. Even though that's a Catholic school and my high school, the public school, it was always that little big city rivalry. But now to see him go and do his thing night in, night out in the NBA, I'm happy for him, man. His dream has come true.
I hope you guys enjoyed that cold open to the show. We just, I guess we're going to change up the way we do it here. But you know what? There is no structure. It's meant to be just the natural conversation between Sheed and I. And believe it or not, we actually do have segments that we had pre-planned and we want to talk about in this episode. And let's do that now as our producer, Dean, has prepared our moment in time. This particular moment in time, Sheed, I'm going to take you back. This one should be kind of obvious. But March 23rd, 1995.
Oh, the madness.
So this footage that I found on YouTube is a mixtape of the game that y'all played AI in the tournament in Birmingham. Was this your first
athlete, you know, at quarterback, wide receiver, corner, all of that? He was the phenomenal fighter. You're going to have to help the guards more because he has 100% free reign to do whatever it is. So we was like
playing through it?
Yeah, no, was playing through it because I had hurt my ankle earlier in the tournament against Iowa State. I think it might have been that previous round against Iowa State. And when I came down, it was like, that's why I came down so gingerly, but it was still wasn't 100%. But hey, my guy, Serge Zwicker, he went out there.
Georgetown, never said, look at Sheed getting in the face.
That's so my guy, Bubakar.
This entire highlight tape.
If you look at the clock, we like about 8 minutes in, your first shot, if it's not a layup or dunk, that shit going to be a brick because you're not used to having that ball. You ain't catch that ball in that flow because, you know, he coming down, AI coming down, doing his thing. But, man, it was a nice game. And the Stack had a great game. And now our guards, like I said, with AI, they were solid. Hey, we came away with that dub. That's all we needed, Wab.
20, right before we go, 20 second half points, player of the game. AI has 21. You went point for point with AI in that second half. I didn't remember that.
The only time you will ever see that happen.
Once we got to the NBA, it was a different story. But on the night,
I can say that now. I'm glad you brought that up. I can say, I'm like, man, I want point for point with AI, man. You know, I ain't got to tell them when or what game. That's how us old folks do. We gonna tell what we want them to know.
I set you up a little bit here with this specific game, and I had a purpose because this was supposed to be focused on a star player, an individual that is dominating the game, and I want to transition this to current day because the day that we're filming this is shortly after Luka Doncic just put up what is quite literally an unprecedented historic box score of 60 points, 21 assists. Sheed's looking for the Knicks defense right now. 10 rebounds.
I'm looking for a torch. Because damn.
Where's the Knicks defense in all this? So this, when you do something that even Wilt Chamberlain could never do in his day, it's got to lead off the show. And especially in a 2022 in which the competition was, to be polite, a little bit different than it is now. So for Luka to have this game, have the entire NBA world react on Twitter, if Luka was doing this to Rasheed Wallace and Rasheed Wallace's team, whether it was Washington, Portland, or Detroit, how do you stop someone from going nuclear on you?
Back then when I played, that's what that 12th, 13th man is for on the bench. The coach going to look down there, hey, you know what your job is. Man, this cat is not going to go in there and have 60 on us. You getting this dude up off the bench. He got 6 hard fouls. He going to make it a hard night for you. And then guess what? You foul him out, and this could be first or second quarter. You foul him out. Hey, here come the 10th man. Because you got to think about it. The rotations back then was only like about 7-8 man crew for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Because you were dealing with a lot of veteran players who it was in their contracts, minutes, blah, 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 all that other stuff. But hey, I'm calling them dudes off the bench. Yo, this is what you getting paid for. Hey, go in there to make sure that this man don't do this, do that. But it's a whole different era now. And I will have to say, for me, that arson, what made that arson even more stupendous was he did it, I think, on like 30 shots, 30 or 31 shots. That part, I got to tip my hat to. The rebounds, the assists, that's Luka night in, night out. We seen it. You know what I'm saying? But to shoot, what was it, 52, 53% from the field, something like that, and to end up with 60 on like 30-something shots, low 30s, that's impressive, man. That's impressive. Even for my old ass, that's impressive. I got to tip my hat to him for that.
Quentin Grimes had the game of his career for the Knicks, and not a single person is ever going to care about it because they ultimately lost the game. Yeah, he had career highs across the board. Emmanuel Quickley set the Knicks franchise record for assists in the first half. Like the Knicks were doing some pretty epic shit for the first 47 minutes of that game until they blew it. NBA teams, Sheed, were 0 in 13,855, I think was that number, when they are up by or down by 9 points with less than 35 seconds left. And last night was the first time that an NBA team had ever blown a lead in that amount of time. So Luka's brilliance, Knicks collapse. It's the perfect storm because I don't mean to bring up bad memories, but the night when LeBron decided to go for 25 straight points against the Detroit Pistons in that Eastern Conference Finals Game 5, when you have an individual star going off like that, okay, I heard your feedback that I'm going to call the 10th man at the end of the bench and say, go use all 6 of your fouls. What are the coaches saying if that 10th man given his 6 fouls isn't working? Are you sending double teams to get the ball out of his hand? You're certainly not daring him to shoot. He's already proved that he can take hard fouls at that point. We got this guy we can't stop. What the hell do we do?
That was a hell of a night. It was a hell of a night. He did go on a tear, and we were saying, that whole game, it was like, okay, got to prove it. You got to prove yourself to us, this and that. And then also a little bit of manhood between each one of us, the guys that was guarding him, Tayshaun, at times, Ben or myself, if ever it was a breakaway matchup or whatever. But no, he went on a hell of a tear, man. I'm not going to take that away from him. In and out was getting to that right hand. I would say the one thing that we could have done was probably hit him early to force him to give that ball up, because he was never the one to dribble the ball forever and force that second man to go away and then attack. No, he was more smarter than that. If he seen the double come, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get that ball up, because that's the goodness of basketball, the odds. So it was a hell of a night. It was tip my hat to him. It was a barn burner, and I think that's what also helped set the rivalry between us and Cleveland during this time he was there.
Was there a sense of what the hell more can we do? I would never expect a championship squad of this caliber to just kind of ever accept defeat, but at some point you just have to realize we can't do anything more. And did that hit you that night? Because it certainly looked like it hit the Knicks against Luka.
Well, we definitely kept it going. Just try to keep throwing everything at him, try to switch up the defensive matchups. But like I said, he's a smart player, so whenever he saw the double coming, he would hit a Eric Snow. And, okay, then it's like, fuck, it's a dare shot for Eric Snow, because we know he's not a great jump shot shooter, and guess what Eric Snow did? Wow, Eric Snow would hit it. Or if I would come or Ben would come, then, he might hit Ilgauskas or Varejao, at the high post for a layup or something like that. But he played that night. He played it well. So it definitely made us go to the drawing board and look at the film and switch it up for when we played them again, later that season and in the playoffs.
I want to follow up and ask you about the current state of the New York Knicks, and specifically Julius Randle, because, I'm a Knicks fan. I've been watching every dribble of every game for as long as I can remember. And while Julius Randle continues to put up monster box scores, okay, like it is not a lack of him performing. I just want to hear from you. If you are in Julius Randle's shoes, and it seems like no matter what you do, you're always fighting uphill, whether it's against yourself, the talent, the other team, or your own teammates and coaching staff. How do you just continue to be a professional and grind through this? Because it honestly looks like it's going to break him.
He got to keep doing it. He's a veteran. And what it is, he's having that frustration with himself. He's having that frustration playing with some younger players, along with, fighting yourself, being frustrated with yourself about maybe missing shots or saying the whole, if I woulda, coulda, shoulda, which he can't do, because that's really going to eat you up right there. He just got to keep playing, man, and just keep being that positive veteran to the young fellas, installing that positive energy. That's what it's all about. Because the Knicks fans, they still love him. And as you just said, coming off that 8-game win streak, okay, so it's not like, damn, you going from sugar to shit. No, they still love you. But now you got to get everybody back on the track. Okay, we stumbled. Boom. We was all high-fiving and shit, hanging out at the club and all of that shit during our 8-game win streak. All right, so now we got to make sure that we want to get back to that. So what did it take for us on that 8-game win streak? What were we doing? It's all part of being that leader. Even if he don't want to, he's the leader of that team. Shit, most of the years I didn't want to be the leader of the team I had in Portland, but I knew I was the leader. But there again, he has to get the trust, keep that trust, whatever the hell they were doing for the last week and a half, 2 weeks on that streak, got to get back to it. No matter if, I don't know, Tiz might have called an early practice or they might have practiced twice in one day. I don't know. It could have been anything. That's what they need to get back on, though. It's just the whole team concept, man.
Straightforward, Julius. I don't know if he's ever going to watch this or not, but from someone that's certainly been there before.
And I think he'll go to the All-Star game, too.
I just don't understand why this team can't ever play a normal game. And it's because, first of all, bad teams can't close. So you're up by 10, and even when the final buzzer sounds, you still think they're going to find a way to blow it. And because bad teams can't close, and the Knicks just don't have the ability to close right now without Jalen Brunson on the floor. He wasn't there. RJ got hurt, and as a result, we have a historic night on both the individual and player level. You mentioned being the leader at Portland, and I think that's a perfect segue to just ask you about your thoughts, because last time we spoke, in between, Damian Lillard has become the franchise's all-time leading scorer. Any thoughts there with dethroning Clyde the Glide?
I give it to him for playing in our organization. That's great. I know the fans out there love it. I know he loves it. He's top of the list of a lot of great all-stars, a lot of great champions. I definitely will give him that. And, man, here's the thing. He's not finished. He still has many years left in his career, so he's not finished. And I think the mark that he's going to set in that franchise for sure, they're definitely going to retire his number. They're definitely going to have a Damian Lillard something up there in that neighborhood, in that community, in that arena, because, right now, he's number one. He's number one in that organization.
That's a record that by the time he's done, too. Yeah, because he's got so many years left under contract there that he's going to almost double the all-time points scored from Glide by the time he's finished. That record may last for the entirety of his life, which is for any NBA franchise, especially for one that's been around as long as Portland, with the names Clyde, Walton, the Sabonis, the Rasheed Wallaces, and it's just Dame in an era all by himself. So,
and I'll tell you this, for him to eclipse Clyde out there in Portland, that's phenomenal, because they love Clyde out there. Even to this day, they love Clyde out there. And now D. Lillard, they know he has them. He has them, man. He's dedicated to the fans out there. He's dedicated to the people out there. He's dedicated to the organization out there, and they love him just as much. So it's turning into a beautiful marriage out there.
We talked about Jokic a couple of times. Last show was the parallels between Sabonis and Jokic. And ever since that conversation, all Jokic has done is go out there and put up stat lines himself that only the great Wilt Chamberlain has accomplished. He is a two-time, back-to-back reigning MVP. There are 3 individuals on this planet who have three-peated the MVP award: Larry Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, and Bill Russell. But I want to ask you, because voter fatigue is a thing. It's why Michael Jordan is not one of those 3 names that I just mentioned. And if Jordan couldn't do it, then why should Jokic be allowed to win the MVP if he hasn't even made a finals yet? That's a very long-winded way of asking you, man. What else does he need to do to win that 3rd straight MVP? Is there something you need to see from him, or has he already done it? Ring.
That's it. That's to me, that's the only thing that can solidify or justify him getting that 3rd MVP. Because, first look at it. When you're the MVP, is one of the regular season. So you reigned during that regular season, but yet you weren't able to ever get your team over the hump when it mattered. me personally, I get two shits about the regular season. Once we make them playoffs, it's a whole different league. It's a whole different time. So for him to get my MVP vote, he would have to win it. And I know it'll be kind of sort of too late. It's after the fact, but no, he would have to win it. That's the only thing left. What else does he have to do? Like he's another one who's breaking a lot of records out there for that ball club in Denver. So what else is it left for him to do but win a ring?
So I just want to remind everyone watching this that the MVP is a subjective award. Your interpretation of what the word valuable means is up to you. Mm-hmm. There is you pull out the dictionary and it says the player has to do this to win this award. But in the case of Jokic, some of you just heard Sheed's response and say, he needs this. He needs this for me to get my vote. And Jokic fans are going to watch this sheet and be like, it's a regular season award. It has nothing to do with the playoffs. And that you are thinking about the playoffs and integrated into it is simply not fair because you can't play regular season games in the postseason.
True. But what are you in it for? Are you in it to be the reigning king of the regular season? The champion of the regular season? I don't think they do that in the NBA. Have an NBA champion of the regular season. No, it's only one champion. That's what the fuck you in it for. I'm not in it to lead the league in assists. I ain't in it to lead the league in wins, this and that. No, if I having to do those things along the way to get that ring, that's what'll happen. But yeah, for me, hey, gotta get that ring. He did everything else. We all know he's one of the best. He's the best center in the league. But until you win that shit, he got defensive player of the year, lead the league in blocks. Until you win that shit, yo. Hey, and this is, again, my opinion, y'all. My opinion. This is not law. This is not basketball rule. This is my opinion. This is how I feel. If you want to beat the champ, you can't beat the champ on no damn points. You got to knock the champ out. So for these guys, they want to establish that they are great. They're not just playing for the regular season. No, they playing in the regular season to get to them playoffs to be great.
So between this and the Sabonis talk last year, Sheed, you're doing a great job of throwing rocks at the Jokic fan base beehive. They're having a blast with you right now because they're like, this guy hates Jokic. Why does he hate Jokic so much? Yeah, if you say anything remote, not like stan culture in full support of the player, it's either you're with us or against us. It's the way the internet works in 2022. Fact. So please, before you yell in the YouTube comments here at Sheed for always picking against Jokic, understand the context of where he's coming from and how he can validate being that three-time MVP.
Yeah, just hear me out. Don't take the soundbite. Hear me out.
Yeah, if he goes out and wins a title this year, that right there will validate all of Sheed's mindset there and that, okay, now he's worth the MVP retroactively. So before I take us home here, let me put you on the spot because people are going to want to know if it's not Jokic, if the season ended today, who would you vote with your ballot for first place on the MVP?
Oh, wow. I'll be a little bit biased. Bit biased here, and I'll say at the moment for me, Jason Tatum. Okay. And the reason I'm being biased because I did watch a little bit more of Boston games. Simple fact, because they were on televised TV more. I did watch a little bit more Boston games than I have with Denver, and also even with Giannis out there in Milwaukee. So, but Jason Tatum, he's on a tear right now too, and he's doing it night in, night out. But he's not doing it by himself. It's a team effort. But of course, he's leading the show, and shit, young fellas, man, he's continuing. He's continuing what happened last year. I mean, sad to say, good and bad, because he disappeared in the Warriors game a few weeks ago. But again, he still kept it consistent throughout the year.
She brings up a point which I am a broken record in talking about, that the MVP is voted on majority by media members. For example, they work for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, the Detroit Free Press, the New York Times. They have a beat and a team in a city that they cover. It's their job. Okay. So when she says Boston's been on national TV more, they were on Christmas Day. They're just accessible. That shit matters because the people voting are just like Sheed, okay? And that they are watching the games, which are made easy to comprehend, and it's content that is made consumable for them. So it is important for Jokic, Tatum, and Giannis to take advantage of those opportunities, because as much as you want the MVP voters to incorporate every single second of every single dribble of every single game, I just don't think it's ever realistic. So this is just another example of why performing in those big spotlight games is super important. And in just a couple of days, a lot of you are going to be hungover on New Year's Day. A lot of you are going to be watching college football. It's also a Sunday. I think it's actually a Sunday. So you guys are going to be watching the final day of the NFL regular season that has all sorts of implications. But you know what also occurs on that day? Jokic versus Tatum, January 1st. So
on national TV.
No, it shit not on national TV. Nope. That's my point. Is the biggest matchup of the year. The biggest matchup of the year. It's accessible via League Pass and things like that. But with so much going on in the world with New Year's Day, NFL, Sunday, weekend, family, all the above, that the most important sample size of if we get to a Tatum versus Jokic argument at the end of the season, this is arguably the most important sample set that you can use when they played against each other, who came out on top. Yeah. And I don't know how many people are going to be watching it other than extreme sickos like myself, Nuggets fans, Jokic fans, Tatum fans, and Celtics fans. So just keep that in mind. Final segment of the program is Rasheed's Inspired Barbershop Talk segment, which is we go through the NBA history. And we go through each number, and I have Rasheed build a team with the best players that have ever worn that number before. And it's not ranking them 1 through 5. It's putting them in positions 1 through 5. And I think we're ultimately going to have ourselves a little tournament by the end of the show that we put the numbers up against each other to determine who we think would win a March Madness style number 34 versus, in this case,
tournament champion,
number 15.
So my point would be John Lucas Sr.
Oh,
right.
I did not expect that. Okay. All right.
My two guard. This is before a lot of shit. This is even before my time. But hey, you got to know your NBA history. You got to know your history if you're going to call yourself a maven of your craft. My two guard will be Henry Bibby of the San Diego Clippers. Now, for a lot of those who don't know, look Henry Bibby up. He was a phenomenal scorer. He could put that ball in the hole. Light-skinned brother, that's my old head. He was my coach for a year or two when I was out in Detroit, right? So that's my 2.
Okay.
My 3 is my guy, phenomenal athlete, crazy athlete, Latrell Sprewell.
Oh,
that's my 3.
Hold on. You were winding me up there. I was thinking of a fellow Tar Heel, crazy athlete, your boy.
I'm not finished.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Go
ahead. So my 3 would be Latrell Sprewell.
Okay.
Right? My 4 would be my fellow Tar Heel Vince. And my 5, of course, is my guy. I like to call him Mellow 5. It's crazy. But my guy, of course, Carmelo. He would be my 5.
So we're going a little small ball here.
And it is. And there's some other names I had on my list to me that were phenomenal too. But, I had to go with that. Like I had Kemba Walker on my list. Danny Manning was on my list. Al Horford. And my guy, this is a personal favorite of mine because, man, he's such a great guy. And to me, he had a great NBA career, was Amir Johnson. Man, that's a great fucking dude right there. That is a great dude right there. And he's professional about it. I'm glad that he had such a long career that he's had in the NBA coming straight out of high school.
I was about to say, this is in contrast and an antithesis of your number 34, which had like 4 centers on the team. Now we're going to go small ball. We're going to have to specify the rules when we have the tournament. Who's what era are we playing in? Are there 90s officials or 2022 officials? Because if it's 2022, this small ball team may run them out of the gym. Now, there are some names that didn't even make the backup list, didn't even make the bench. Sidney Moncrief, Earl the Pearl Monroe, Lenny Wilkins, Tommy Heinsohn. That's 4 right there. Eddie Johnson.
Hoff. They Hoffs all day. But again, you know, I'm showing a little bit of favoritism to the guys that I actually know. You know, granted, everyone you just named on that list is a Hoff. I know them too, but I think these players are a little bit more relevant. So for our younger viewers,
you don't want Meta World Peace on your team sheet?
I like Meta. But no, actually, you know what? I hope disrespect.
Not after Auburn Hills. Not after the college.
No disrespect. No disrespect at all. But I would rather have Ron Artest over Meta. And I know most people think it's the same person, but he's probably the same person, but different players.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean he's a different human being.
Good dude though. Don't you know? Hey, a lot of people think he's office rocker, this and that, but hey, everyone does what they like to do. You know, some people might think that you crazy for shit liking to eat peanuts through the shell. Hey, you know, you never know. But hey, no, he a good dude though.
Good to hear. I'm glad I asked that. You know what? I would prefer to have Ron Artest. I think he was Meta World Peace when he won with the Lakers, but if you want Ron Artest, that's the version that came from the Pacers and I think the Bulls was his first. But yeah, we all know the story by now. So we are now reached the end of the program for the great Rasheed Wallace, Rob Perez, Worldwide Wob. Another episode of That's What Sheed Said in the books. Same time, same place. Next week, we will have a whole fresh batch of topics to discuss, as well as going back to the well. And we'll have a fresh number for Sheed to give us his insights on.
Yes.
So, until then, see you on the timeline.